All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to a special video. I took the time to write something because, as we know, the new region is coming out soon, and that means some new players are going to be joining the game. They're going to see like ads and everything for all the new stuff. And for Korea, I believe the new region actually came out today, but for everyone else, we have to wait another month. And so what I wanted to talk about was 10 things that I think new players should know about this game. And once you get into it, here are some things from a veteran player, like tips I can give you guys. And I guess you guys can as well drop some tips that you guys would use and share with everyone who's new to the game as well. So, in no particular order, I have a list right here. And as a new player, assuming this is your first month playing the game, what would you do? So usually there's a season going on pretty much at all times, except for like 1 week downtimes between them. But usually I would start playing a season character, and I actually have one now that's like, it's done, but I just still have it. So what the season character is basically a mini like event. It's like a 3-month thing where you can progress and catch up with different kinds of gear than the main one. So it's like it's teaching you the game and just basically a huge catch-up mechanics with a lot of rewards that you get along it. So if you've ever played any other game that has seasons, it's kind of like that. And unlike other ones where basically your character is done afterwards, you get to actually keep your character, and you can play it past seasons. It just graduates and it turns into another main character that you have. So if we look at it, you have gear over here called Tuvala. Basically, this is tutorial gear, and it allows you to convert them into actual boss gear afterwards. So this is a lot easier to enhance, and we'll talk about that later, what enhancing and everything is. But basically, you level up gear, and then you give stats, and then you later on turn it into endgame gear. So it's a lot easier. It's kind of like the tutorial. It teaches you a lot of the mechanics, and yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff you can get along the way, like rewards. So after you finish seasons, there's an NPC down there called Jatina. It'll allow you to help or get like better gear later on by doing daily quests, which you could do on seasons as well. And basically, as a new player, you're probably wondering, is it hard to catch up to endgame players? And the answer is no, not really. The way they have it set up at endgame now, basically, it's like, yeah, people who have been playing for a long time with gear, they will have an advantage. However, it's not too far of a gap between like you and me, and they have a lot of capped stuff. Like that means, for example, if you have X amount of AP, you can fight people with also the same amount of AP. So there's no real right or wrong time to ever start the game. There's a lot of just select stuff, and you can do basically whatever you want. So that's my number one tip as a newer player to start the game. Start out with seasons, do your Jatina stuff. You'll catch up in no time, and it's not actually as bad as people say it is. Number 2, in this game, there are 2 routes you can go. So think of it like a sandbox RPG where you could just do whatever. So to give you an idea, like traditionally, in other MMOs, you go do whatever, level up your character, and then do the final like dungeons, raids, get the best gear, and then you wait. So this game is a little bit different because you can do whatever you want. And there's 2 routes, grinding and then lifeskilling. So lifeskilling is like all of these things. If you ever played like RuneScape or something, or any other MMO, kind of know what this is. Like fishing, every game has that, right? Gathering, cooking, pretty standard stuff. So unlike other MMOs, these are actually pretty detailed and intricate, because it may sound very easy when you think about it. It's like, oh, just go chop trees and stuff. But then, believe it or not, you could turn all of these into like complex things, like different tiers of materials and doing whatever sort of other life skills. So basically, like, unlike other MMOs, these can get very advanced or as simple as you want it to be. Usually, of all the other MMOs that I've played, anything that has ocean content has usually been pretty bad. However, in BDO, it's actually pretty cool, actually. You get to craft your own boat, and that may sound kind of weird saying that because it's just like, oh, boat, go from point A to B. But it feels like in this game, anything you get, you feel like you earned it, because you can't, well, whether you buy it, like with you save up silver grinding and just buy it, you still feel like you've earned it. You can't just trade someone a weapon and get things done in like one day. So yeah, no matter what you do, whether you go to grinding route and just buy it, or you life skill, or you make it yourself, everything feels like it's self-earned. I think a lot of these life skills are really fun, actually. Well, most of them are fun, in my opinion. So definitely, you can do some other stuff if you aren't interested in the whole like grind in circles thing. So I know I've read reviews of BDO before, and people are just like, oh, this game is just grindy. Yeah, it is, but that's like only part of the game. You can do whatever you want. And so we go into the grinding route. And if you actually enjoy that, like, you know, killing mobs, going in circles, hoping for that rare item that drops, you can do that. There's a lot of spots. There's a lot of grind spots, and you can actually find that in the game. Like all these monster zones, it tells you like where you can go, and then all the drop loot tables and everything. So if you're into that, you can do that. If you don't like grinding as much and you want to try life skilling, RPing, all that stuff, there's definitely a lot of that too. So number 3. This one is something that when I first started, it was very confusing for me. Workers and nodes. Now I have a few videos that they're still pretty up to date now. Workers and nodes. That is a lot of complicated stuff that you're probably like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. So basically, how do I start this as an easy thing? You'll see a number over here. That is your contribution points. You get this by life skilling and turning in byproducts, just questing, and just doing a lot of things. Playing the game, you'll get contribution points, right? And then you use those points to invest in nodes. These thingies over here are nodes. Like, for example, let's take this one. As a newer player, I believe you start in Western Guard Camp, so let's pick something around here. So you'll see whether it's gray or red, right? These things are both nodes. And when it's gray, it means you have not invested into it. And when it's red, it means you have put some of those contribution points into that node. And so what do? If you put a worker on the node, you get to see like what kind of materials those workers will bring back. So it's basically passive money and income in this game. So for example, if we take any other node, like I have pumpkins running, right? I have a worker on this node, and then you connect it to your towns. And so those workers will bring back extra nodes like pumpkins, as we were just looking at, and then put it in your storage. And what you do with that is either you use it for the life skills that we were talking about before, or you could just sell it. And while you're playing the game, you're just making free money on the side. So one thing I would recommend to newer players is try to set up your worker empire early. And it's just money that you will have early on that I didn't have, and I had to figure it out. So how do you get it, actually? You go to a work supervisor, right? They have this in every town, and you just have to find where it is. So this NPC, you can contract workers, and it allows you to basically roll different workers, and whether, like, there's different tiers of colors, right? So we're like skilled pro artisan, blue, yellow, and orange. And so what that will allow you to do is the different types of workers that go onto it bring back different yields of stuff. So like giants are slower, but they bring back more. Goblins are faster, but they bring back less. And humans are balance of like speed and quantity of items brought back. Personally, the goblin ones are the best in slots. They've changed it over time. It is what it is. So yeah, once again, figure out your worker empire early on. I have some videos of it as well. You could find it on the channel. Just search up worker node CP stuff, and then you'll find my videos. So that's number 3. Number 4, we have storage and weight. So as a newer player, you're gonna have a LT, which is a weight limit, and then you obviously standard traditional MMO stuff and inventory setup. Now, a lot of people have asked me, what is more important, having weight or inventory? The answer is weight, 100%. The reason why is weight is harder to obtain, and usually you pay real money for it, whereas inventory slots, you get a lot of it for free, questing and all that stuff. So all of these things I have right here, these are, I've never paid for one. I just get them from rewards, events, and everything. So you just get those over time by playing the game. But weight limit allows you to carry more stuff and just do things for longer than you would before. So yeah, the difference between weight and inventory, this is what it looks like. Unlike other MMOs, you do have to actually work for them or buy it, which is, it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And yeah, so weight limit is worth more to me than inventory is. Next thing we have for newer players, is it worth getting a fairy and pets? Actually, these are more or less the same thing. So as we all know, pets are more than just like things that follow you around. They help you with looting stuff. So like if you are a grinder, it allows you to have them pick up your loot for you. Pretty standard practice in other RPG games as well. And so obviously you're going to want to have pets. And I could go into a long rant on like the best kind of pets and everything, but just to keep this very simple, if you were to ask me, is it better to have 1 tier 5 pet or 5 tier 1 pets? It's better to have 5 pets that are lower level than 1 higher tier, because it allows you to loot more and eventually like you level them up and they loot faster. So if you are interested in a more detailed discussion of pets, the best things to get, once again, I have that on my channel as well. Just search up like Jonlaw and then pets or something, or whatever topic I talk about, and then you'll find it. So yes, pets, how hard are they to get in this game? They are actually not that bad, because yeah, they are cash apps, you could get them, but they also give them away pretty frequently from events and rewards. And there are actually quests in the game that you can do to get them, so like you don't have to spend any money, but if you just want it like now, then you can. But yeah, not that bad. Pets are very important. Fairies, on the other hand, kind of sketch. These are more, I would say, for late game players, but eventually you're gonna want them. And so again, I have another video on that as well, on more details and everything. But anyway, yes, you should get them. I believe fairies are easy to get as well, even early on. I believe there is a quest where you have to, like, they teach you what they're for, how to get them, and how to use it. So just by playing the game, you'll pretty much get a free one. But then there are materials in game that allow you to basically get them for free. So like these Lila's petals, you can get basically a fairy wing thingy, right? And then you can trade it to an NPC for various, one from tier 1 to 4. But that's the easy part, getting one. But getting them in the right stats is the hard part. And we'll get more into detail in another video for that one. Tip number 6 that I have for you guys: messing with your settings. Oh boy, I've had a lot of questions asked over time for this, and here's what it is. So by default, a lot of these things are on, where is it? Alerts. By default, when you first start the game, all of these alerts are on. I would recommend turning off all of them until you think you actually need to see them, because when you first start the game, you're going to see like pop-ups at the top of your screen like, oh, this item has been sold, or this thingy has been listed on the market. And guess what you don't want to see as a new player? All of that because you don't care. And so, yeah. Then you'll see a lot of UI stuff later on. And what you do is you see the eye icon right here. If it's like white, it means it's on. And then the eye is closed, that means it's off. So I would definitely recommend messing with your UI and like moving things around that you can move and playing with your settings. So I've been asked a lot of questions on what settings I play with. I'll just run through it real quickly, but these are basically what I have. I play on very high FXAA. A lot of these things are off. And yeah, there's actually a lot of options in terms of the photo filter. I personally like Vibrance the most because it makes it look more realistic. So for example, if I play that, you can just change the colors. You can see this in real time, like whether you want yours like mega bright or not. So yeah, up to you. What do you like? I personally think Vibrance makes it look the most realistic, and then you can mess with everything else. So yeah, that's basically it. I have a video about a lot of these topics. I have a lot more in detail. So yeah, just once again, if you want to see something or any of these topics that you guys are more interested in, just search up like Jonlaw and then the topic we covered. So mess with your settings. That's definitely something that's very important in this game. There's a lot of settings and it's very confusing actually. So I'd recommend checking those out. Next, we have energy. This number is basically money in a way. So when you have energy, you recover it you get like 1 point every 3 minutes. And what you do with the energy is either you like hire workers, you can gather, which is like one of the life skillings. You use energy to get materials. And there's a lot of other things you can do with it. So you'll figure it out early on what you like doing. But for the most part, the more energy in your energy pool you have, the better. And you can also turn that into like energy and then sell items on the market with it. So basically, it's just, once again, passive income on the side. So I think that's good. This is another topic that I wanted to talk about. It's a little bit tricky because it's very good to have, but at the same time, like as a newer player, you don't ever really think about this. So when you guys play MMOs or RPGs in general, you think, okay, I'm going to have one character and I'm just going to have that as my main and we're going to do everything on that. And that's fine. I do a lot of other games where that's actually the case. So in this game, you kind of get rewarded and bonuses for having more characters. You don't actually have to play them all, but just having them is good. And here's why. So as you guys know, I play a Dark Knight. This is my main character. I'm generally on this most of the time. However, these are all my other characters that I have. And the reason why it's good to have a lot of extra characters is because you see how we have energy and enhancement, right? It's like 549 energy maxed out on this character, right? So every character you have has a different like energy pool. And that means like every character will have a different amount of energy, assuming you don't use it. And those build up over time as well, even when you don't play it. So what I like to call my other characters that I don't play are energy batteries. They build up over time. You turn that energy into something else and then turn that into money. So that's just passive money over time. And of course, the I guess number one reason to have multiple characters is obviously to play the characters because you think they're fun and all. So aside from that, there's like other things where you can have enhancement chances, which is basically enhancing the game's way of upgrading in this game. And then if you like, for example, how do I describe this to a new player? How do I describe enhancing? If you are trying to upgrade a piece of gear, right? There's a percentage of success and fail. Pretty standard. When you fail, you get these things called fail stacks, and it's a number that gets bigger. The higher that fail stack is, the higher the success chance is. So this is like the most basic way I can describe it to people. And like, the higher the enhancement chance, the more it's worth, and the higher chance of upgrading your gear into something else. So it gets more complicated as you get to late game and end game, where you're trying to enhance higher end gear. But by default, you can have like one character holds an enhance, but you can always have multiple characters holding different ones. That way you never really run out. So that's why it's important to have a lot of different characters. And aside from just trying them out, playing whatever you want, just having them to build up energy is free money. Fail stack holder, so you don't have to pay real money to just not have to do that. And so there's a lot of bonuses that come with it. And also leaving your characters in different places, because some things are across the map that you just don't want to bring your main character to. So like, for example, there are world bosses in this game, right? And let's say you don't want to bring your main, or it's like a 10-minute walk from there. You would have an alt character parked there, so you don't have to swap on your main, which is always nice. So yeah, there's a lot of good benefits for having multiple characters, even if you don't play them. What I personally do is every time a new season starts, I play a new character, right? And then after the season ends, I go back to my main, but I still have my character. I leave him at various part in the world, and that's what they're basically used for. All right, so next, number 9, we have joining guilds. Now, as you guys know, MMOs are multiplayer online games. So usually when people play MMOs, you're here for the social aspect as well. And so I know there are some people that just want to play the game like a online game, but they want to play it in a solo player, solo, I guess, do everything you by yourself. And I get that. However, in this game, joining a guild actually comes with benefits, because one, in this game, aside from this whole social aspect, there are actually like perks and buffs that your guild can offer you, even if you don't talk to them. I mean, like, you can even just do whatever. So in this game, there's like a guild finder, right? Or the guild rankings. And a lot of them will basically tell you what the guild is all about. So I would always recommend joining a guild just for the passive buffs and everything on the side. And just find the right one that works for you. So whether you're like an RPer or Lifeskiller or just grinder, PvPer, there's always a guild for different types of people. It's easy to find one. Maybe you'll meet some new friends on the way. But yeah, just find the guild early on. You get some bonuses on the side. It'll make your gaming experience a lot more fun or easier. And so, yeah, I get it. Trust me, there are people that like find a new game and just want to play completely solo. In this game, BDO, from start to end, I would say like 90% of it you can do solo and be just fine. So even if you do that, still join a guild. Maybe you'll just meet some friends on the side. That's cool, but you just want to get the bonuses that come with it. So our final topic today is trial characters. As you guys know, BDO is one of the games that has probably more classes than really should have, because in MMOs, I've always said this: it's better to have less characters, but they're balanced, than more characters that's unbalanced. That means like the PvPers, the PvEers are mad because their class feels like it's worse than the others, or the happy that's like stronger than the others. So games like ESO, for example, they have like what, 6 or 7 classes, but they all feel pretty good. Whereas in this game, they have like 22 or something characters and classes, but we can definitely tell which ones are above average and which ones are below average. So that kind of affects it in a way, to the point where people are like, oh, I want to go into this game, but I want to play the strongest class instead of playing what you actually enjoy playing. Trust me, I get this question a lot from like newer players and stuff as well, where they kind of just want to play the strongest one, and I get that. Like, meta chasing and everything, it's all fun. But in this game, as a sandbox, you kind of want to play the character that you enjoy playing the most, because if you don't like it, you're probably just going to get mad and burnt out quicker than the others. So one thing I like to do is, if you are a newer player or you just have no idea what you want to main, feel free to ask me. Join the Discord, leave it in the comments. I'm sure other people are willing to help you as well. But if you are actually stuck and have no idea what you want to play, just tell me about your play style. If you've ever played another MMO, you'll know simple terms like, hey, I want to play this, but I don't know what. And so, for example, here's what I would ask you. All right, so your play style. Do you like playing a caster? Do you like playing a tank, healer, melee, range, DPS, and all that stuff? In other MMOs, these are all pretty standard terms. And then I could point you in the right direction of what you want to play, or I think what is good. And also, if you are really just one of those meta chaser people, feel free to ask as well. I can tell you what the best classes are. But my strongest recommendation is just find something you think you'll like and stick with that one, because I've definitely grinded on characters that are just not fun for me. It's just not my play style, and so I didn't have fun. So I've been playing Dark Knight for, I don't know, how long has it been out? Like maybe 5-6 years now. I've definitely known what it's like being at the bottom of the barrel and like being what the community would consider the weakest class. Then I've also been like at the mid tier where they're just okay. And then I've definitely been above average, and I can feel it too. And I would say, of all things, the scariest thing to do in PvP is fight someone that actually knows how to play their class really well. So it doesn't matter if your class is like kind of bad. If you know how to play it well enough to the point where you're fighting someone who's just trying to meta chase but they don't know how to play, it's a good chance you'll win every fight, or most of them. There's a lot of RNG in this game, but it's always scary. Someone who knows their class really well are definitely better players in my eyes than someone who just re-rolls every month. And yeah, so that's that. So what we were talking about was trial characters. If you don't know what you want to play, there's this thing called the Battle Arena, and it allows you to basically make a trial character, and it'll put you at like level 60 or something with some decent gear. That allows you to basically try out all the characters before you commit to anything. And so it basically has all the skill points. You can play around with all the skills. And I know this is something that I would recommend new players doing, because obviously you don't have like the time invested that I do, where I already have all these characters on my main and I've pretty much tested them all to an extent. And so yeah, the best thing I would do and recommend to people is probably make some trial characters, try them out, ask yourself if you enjoy playing it, watch some like streamers and YouTubers playing the class that's interesting to you, and or ask questions on the forums, whatever, Reddit, I don't know, just ask in the comments, join the Discord and all that stuff. And yeah, figure out what works for you. So in this game, it's all about progression one way or another, and obviously gear matters. And overall, I would say I would just play the game at your own pace. The one thing I would recommend not doing is comparing yourself to others. So as you guys know, I love competition. I started this game with one of my friends, was it 7 years ago? And we were just like, oh, when we were both new to the game, we were like, okay, so let's see who could get the best gear the fastest. And then once you get to the later stages in the game, all it takes is like one person to get pretty lucky, and then you're like at least a week ahead of them. And then suddenly, like, it feels less fun. So progression is a big thing in this game. And don't compare yourself to others. Just play at your own pace. I know competition is a thing, and that some people are competitive, but if you try to gear check other people, it doesn't feel great later on. So yeah, that's one of the just biggest tips I can give you. Play at your own pace and ask a lot of questions, because this game is very unintuitive of a lot of stuff because it doesn't really tell you. So once again, that's all the 10 tips I have today. If you enjoyed it, drop a quick like on this video. Hopefully some of them helped you. And I have a lot of tips that I can give to people, but this video would be literally hours. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask me, drop it in the comments and all that stuff. Join the Discord. And yeah, so about me, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, feel free to hit that sub button. I do upload videos like at least 5 times a week, and I've been playing this game for 7 years now, I guess since the beta. And you guys can watch my adventures from the very beginning. I have over thousands of videos on it, and if you're curious to know what has changed over the time, I like to update you guys, whether you're a new player, returning player, or someone who's just looking to get better at this game. These are the videos that I kind of do. And so, yeah, hopefully these videos are helpful, and I would love to see you guys come back. With that said, this video, I think I covered everything I wanted to. So, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.